Hey everyone, so this is the game that we're going to be making today. It's a basic avoid the obstacles and get the key type of game. So what we're trying to do is we can't touch the animals, and using the arrow keys we have to try and get to the key. And then we've got the key. Okay, so to get started, let's first of all go into create. Just wait for that to load. Alright, so we have Scratch Cat. Now let's just get rid of him. So if you click on the cross at the bottom. Okay, so first of all we need a backdrop. You can choose a backdrop from the Scratch library, or you can upload one if you have one downloaded. I already downloaded mine from Google, so I'm just going to change. Alright, there we go. Okay, so now firstly we need to get our main character. So if we go to choose a sprite, you can choose whatever character you want. I'm going to choose Giga for this example. Okay, so notice how Giga is really big. We want to make it smaller so that we can fit all the other characters in here as well. So if you just go down to the size at the bottom, if you just double click on it, we can change that to a size of 50. Now, it doesn't have to be 50. You can choose whatever size you feel comfortable with or you feel fits in with your game. So now that we've got Giga, let's go and add some code to make him move around with our arrow keys. So the first thing we need is we need to go to events and let's grab when the space key is pressed. Now, we want to make this for all 4 arrow keys, so we need 4 of them. So we go when up arrow key is pressed, grab when the down arrow key is pressed, when the right arrow key is pressed, and when the left arrow key is pressed. Now, when the up arrow key is pressed, we want it to change Y by 10. Because I'm not sure if you all know, but there's a diagram here, and if you get confused, X and Y is this way, left to right, and Y is up and down. So if we want to make it move in that direction up, we're going to change the Y by 10. So now, if we want to make it go down, we're going to make it change Y by minus 10. And then similarly for the left and the right. For the left, we want to change X by minus 10. And then for the right, we want to change X by 10. Now, if you just press the green flag and use your arrow keys, you can see that we are now able to move Giga around. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to add our first obstacle. So now let's go back into choose a sprite and let's click on, you can choose any sprite you want. I'm just going to choose the back because that's what I had in my previous example. Now again, this is too big for my game, so we're going to go down to the size and I'm going to change it to 50. Now again, you can change it to whatever size you feel is appropriate for your game. And so first of all, we're going to make this obstacle move up and down this way. So let's put him where we want him to move from down, up and down. So I want him to move up and down from this spot here. So I'm going to put him over here. Okay, now, because I've put my bat right here, Notice how the coordinates of the bat is minus 143 and minus 31. And notice how in my go-to block on the left, I have a minus 143 and a minus 31. Now this is the exact position of where my bat is right now. And if you can remember from what I said previously, the x is left to right. So the bat is exactly where we want it on our left axis. But for our y-axis, the bat is going to move up and down, so it's going to keep changing while our x is going to stay the same. So if our y is going to keep changing, we will have to go into operators. There's a pick random block. Let's drag that and put that into the y, because remember the y can be anything it wants. Between the ranges, for the y value, the lowest that the y value can be is minus 180, and the highest y value that it can be is going to be 180. And obviously we want the bat to start moving when the green flag is clicked, so let's go and grab that. In events, grab when the green flag is clicked. Now when the green flag is clicked, we want the bat to go to a random position. Yep, we've done that. Now we want it to start moving up and down. So let's go and grab the forever block in control. Let's drag that. Okay. Now we want it to start moving, so if we go into motion, let's grab change y by 10, because remember we are changing its movement, its up and down movement. So we've got change y by 10, and then let's also go into variables, and let's click on make a variable. Let's call it steps and click on OK. Now we want to keep track of when the bat is moving forward, it's going to be changing the y coordinates by 10, but then when it reaches the top, it's got to go backwards, and we're going to change y by minus 10. So now that we've got steps, we've got to set the steps to 10, and then after we've done that, inside here we're going to change y by steps. Okay, so it's going to keep moving up, 10 steps at a time, and once it reaches the top, the y position is going to be at 180, because remember that's the highest that it can be. So if we go into control, we can grab an if then, and we want to say if the y position is greater than 180. So let's go into operators, grab that, let's go into motion. So we've got if the y position is bigger than 180, you're going to go and set the steps variable to minus 10, because we want it to go backwards now. But then, so we've got to set to minus 10, and it's going backwards. It's going to go backwards, all the way till it reaches the bottom. And we haven't got a condition to check that. If the y position is smaller than minus 180, then we're going to make it go back the other way. So let's go to control. Let's grab another if then. Go into operators, grab the less than. So let's go into motion and grab the y position. Now we've got if the y position is less than 180, we've got to set the steps back to 10, because we want it to move forward again. Okay, so this is what we've got so far. Let's stop and start, or press the green flag. And now we can see our bat is moving up and down really quickly. I think it's going to be way too quick. So in this case, we're going to make it slow. We're going to make it move slower. So because we're moving at 10 steps at a time, it's going to be too fast. And if you notice how we've used 10 steps in these 3 spots here, we've got to replace all of them with however many steps we want it to move. So I want it to move 1 step. If it reaches the top, we're going to make it go back down 1 step. And then if it reaches the bottom, we're going to make it go 1 step up. So let's stop it and start it again. And now you can see the bat is moving really slowly. Now, for my bat, there are a couple of costumes. If you go into the costumes tab, you can see that these are all the costumes that the bat can be. So to make it more alive, let's go into looks and let's grab next costume. So we're going to put this right at the bottom of our, not at the bottom, right on the last row of our forever loop, so that it changes the costume every time it moves a step. So let's stop and start again. And there we go. Now, if we use the arrow keys, we can also move Giga, but if we touch the bat, nothing's going to happen yet because we haven't got the code for it. Alright, so let's go back to Giga and let's stop the code as well. Let's put Giga in a spot where you want it to start. So I'm going to want it to start right here. Okay, so we want at the very beginning of the game, so when the green flag is clicked. So let's go to events. When the green flag is clicked, let's go to motion. Now remember, this is the exact position of where Giga is right now, so we don't need to change anything. So let's drag that and drop it under there when the green flag is clicked. Now, when the green flag is clicked, we want to go to that spot, our starting spot, and we also want to check if we are touching the bat or not. So we have to go into control and let's grab an if then block. We want to check if it's touching the bat. Now touching is in sensing, so let's grab touching and put that in the if block. So now, and I'm going to make this a bit smaller so you guys can all see. So if it's touching mouse pointer, we want to change that to bat. If it's touching the bat, then we want to say ouch. So let's say, or you can say whatever you want. Say, I'm going to say ouch for 0.2 seconds. And then after saying ouch for 0.2 seconds, I'm going to go into control and I'm going to stop everything because nothing should be moving if I get hit by one of the obstacles because it's game over. So I'm going to make this bigger again because I can't see what's going on in here. So one more thing that we're going to add is that when the green flag is clicked, we are only checking if we are touching the bat when the green flag is clicked, but we don't only want to check it when the green flag is clicked or when we press the green flag. We want to check it all the time. We want to keep constantly checking it even after when the green flag is clicked. So let's go into control and let's grab the forever and we're going to put it around the if then block. If we stop and press the green flag, you can move Giga around, and if Giga touches the bat, it's going to say ouch, and we've stopped everything. Alright, so now that we've got that working, we can add a second obstacle. Now, if we go back into choose a sprite, and my second obstacle is going to be the hedgehog. Now, you can choose whatever character you want again, but I'm going to choose the hedgehog because of the one I did in my example. Now, let's change the size. And this time my hedgehog is going to move left and right. Now I'm going to put it where I want it to move left and right. So I want it to move left and right here. Okay, so I've got to, first of all, this is really similar to the bat, but the only thing different about my hedgehog this time is that, okay, now this is going to be really similar to the bat, but there's going to be some slight differences, because this time when the hedgehog reaches the rightmost of the screen, it's got to turn back, so the whole sprite is got to flip and face the left, and when it reaches the leftmost of the screen, it's got to flip to the right again to move back in that direction. So let's do the same thing. So let's go into events. Let's grab when the green flag is clicked. We want the hedgehog to start in that position. So we want to go to motion, grab the go to block. Now remember that we want it to move left and right, but we want it to stay in this same Y position that we have here right now. So the only thing that we want to change is the X coordinates. So if we go into operators, we can grab pick random, because at the beginning of the game we want it to start at a random position on this line. So the smallest X value that it can be is minus 240, and the largest is 240. So now that we've got that, we want to define the hedgehog to be facing in the right position at the very beginning of the game. So we have to go into motion, and we're going to grab the set rotation style left to right. So this is going to make our hedgehog flip left to right. And if we grab the so this is going to make our hedgehog be able to flip left to right, because right now if we use the direction, it's going to make it go upside down, and that's not what we want. So we've got that. Now we want it to point in that direction, and you can see the hedgehog is pointing in a 90-degree direction right now. So we want it to say point in direction 90, because that's what we want it to start off with. So it's pointing in that direction. Now we want it again to go to variables. We want to define how many steps we want our hedgehog to take. So we make a variable, call it steps1, press OK. So now we set steps 1 to 1 step. Okay, so now we want it to move right all the way until it reaches the end. So, and we want it to move right forever until it reaches the end. So we want to go into control. Let's grab the forever block. There it is. And we want to make it move. So we want to change, and if we're moving left and right, we're changing the X. So let's grab the change X, and if we go back to variables, grab step 1. So it's going to make it move all the way to the right. Now once it reaches the furthest most right that it can go to, the furthest right of the screen, we want it to flip around and go back the other way. So we have to go into control to make a check, to get a checker, to check if it's at the rightest of the screen. So let's grab the if then. So we want to say if the y position is greater than, so in operators, let's go grab greater than and get back into motion. Let's grab, so if the x position is greater than 240, which is what we said the biggest x value could be. So if the x position is greater than 240, we are going to point in direction. So we're going to make it point back in the opposite direction, which would be minus 180. Now you can use this dial here, or you can just type it in if it makes it easier. So we want it to turn it around, and then we also want it, because it's going back in the left direction, so if we're going back in that direction, we are minusing the steps now. So we have to go into variables and set steps 1 to be -1. Alright, so now that we've got our checker for when it's at the rightmost of the screen, so if we stop and once it hits the right, it moves back. So it hits the right and it moves back in the opposite direction. Now we want to make sure that once it hits the leftmost of the screen, we want it to do the same. So let's go into control, grab an if then. If we go to operators, we want to check if x is smaller than minus 240. So let's go into motion, grab the x position. If x is smaller, we want it to flip back that direction, flip back to the right. So point in direction 90, and then we want to set the steps back to the positive direction. So we're going to set step 1 to be 1. Okay, so once we have that, let's test it out. So now let's stop and start it again. And my hedgehog is moving to the right. It hits the right, and it touches and it flips. And then now it's going to go all the way to the left. It's going to go to the left, hit the left, and flip right. And there we go. Now, for my hedgehog, we have a couple of costumes here. These ones, the first 3 looks like it's moving, but the last 2 is more of a roll. I'm probably not going to use that in my animation for this one, so I'm just going to cross this and get rid of it, because I want it to just move and not do a move and a roll. But that's just my preference, so it's up to you how you like your obstacle to be moving around. So now we've got to go back into looks, and we have to grab next costume. Yep, and we're going to put it on the last row of our forever loop. Now if we stop and start it again, notice how my hedgehog is now moving, and it's really cute. But it's moving really quickly. I might just slow that down a bit by adding a weight. So if I go into advanced control, put that in there and change it to a weight 0.2 seconds maybe. Let's stop and press the green flag. Oh, it's a bit slow now, isn't it? Let's make it 0.1. So now let's stop it and start again. Yep. And choose a number that suits however your obstacle is moving and once you're happy with it. And there we go. Alright, so now once we've got that, we can use the arrow keys and move it around. Now remember how we've got the stop for the bat but we haven't got anything to stop the game when we touch the hedgehog. So let's just stop our game for a second. Let's go back to Giga and let's go back to the code where we checked when we were touching the bat. So now it's right here. If it's touching the bat, then we're going to say ouch. But now we're going to include the hedgehog as well. So if we go into operators, we've got this lovely OR block. So we can say if our Giga is touching the bat, or if Giga is touching the hedgehog, it will trigger Giga to say ouch for 2 seconds. Now, this is what it should look like. Now, if we just stop and start it again, and if we go all the way down to the hedgehog, just say ouch, and now the game should stop. But notice how the game has stopped, but we can still move Giga around. This is going to be a problem because we don't want anything to be moving after our game has stopped. So right now we've got to add something to tell Giga that once all the characters have stopped, you've got to stop moving as well. So this is obviously an extension. You don't have to add it if you feel like you're happy with how it currently is, but just for completion sake, I'm going to add that feature. So we have to go. So we want to know when the game has stopped. So we've got to use a variable for this to store this information. So let's go to make a variable, and in the variable name we're going to call it game over, and we're going to press OK. Okay, so basically at the beginning of the game we ask ourselves, is it game over yet? No, it's not. So we've got to set the game over to false. Okay, and when is it game over? That's the next question that we've got to ask ourselves. So it's game over when we are touching either the bat or the hedgehog. So we've got to set game over when we're touching the bat or the hedgehog in here. So we're going to set the game over to true, because this is when the game has finished. And now remember how this check is so that we can't move using the arrow keys. So if we go back to the code where we did use the arrow keys, we're going to apply the checker here. So what I mean by that is we're going to check when the up arrow key is pressed, we are going to check if it's game over. So if we go into control and grab an if then, so we got that. So now we want to say if game over. So if game over is equal to false, because that means that the game is not over yet. So whilst the game is not over, we can still change or move Giga. Now we're going to do this for the rest of them. So let's go into control, grab some more if statements and put them around the change. And go to operators. I'm going to put the equal sign. I'm going to change them all to false. Alright, and then now let's go to variables. Let's grab game over and just put that there on the left for all of them. And also, if you like having these things here, feel free to keep them there, but otherwise we'll just get rid of them by unchecking the boxes over here just to make it a bit cleaner. All right, and once we've got that, let's press the green flag again and let's touch the bat. Now, if we try to move Giga's not going to move anymore. And that's exactly what we wanted. All right, so final step is adding the key or whatever you want to reach at the end of the game. So if we're going to choose a sprite, I'm going to go down and I'm going to find the key. All right, now I'm going to put the key right here in the corner, and I'm just going to change the size of it because it's a bit big. All right, so we've got our key here. So now we want to basically check the game is over, or we will finish the game, I should say, when Giga touches the key. So now, like always, let's grab when the green flag is clicked in events. Let's go to control, and we want to say if the key is touching Giga. So if we go to sensing, grab touching, change the mouse pointer to Giga. So if the key is touching Giga, then we're going to say you got the key for 2 seconds, and then we should end the game. So we should go into variables because basically Giga shouldn't be moving anymore at the end of it. So let's grab set game over, and let's set it to true because the game would have been over. And now one more thing is that we are only checking it once again. So what I mean by that is when the green flag is clicked, we are checking if the key is touching Giga right when the green flag is clicked, but we aren't going to be checking it again and again and again, and that's what we want it to do. We don't want it to just check when we press the green flag. So if we go into control, grab the forever, put that around there. All right, so now if we press the green flag, I'm going to move all the way to the key. And there we go, you got the key. Now notice how by the end of the game, Giga stopped moving, but the animals are still all moving. So let's stop everything. So let's go into events, or not events, control, and let's grab the stop all and put that after the set game over to true. Now if we press the green flag and let's play it again. Oh no, press the green flag. And now that we've got the key, it's going to stop. There we go. Now, if this game is too easy, you can obviously add some more obstacles if you want. I might make another video where we add a score and a timer, and feel free to change it up, add levels maybe if you want to, make it harder, make the animals move faster. But yeah, this is basically the end of my video. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learnt something. I'll see you guys next time.